He took his first motorcycle club at gunpoint. But that's not why Oakland bikers still lower their voices when they speak of Elliot, Cisco, Valderrama. Ever wonder what makes hardened Hells Angels whisper? Try asking about the rivals who challenged him. Better yet, ask why no one ever found them. By day, he charmed Hollywood directors on movie sets. By night, he ruled the Oakland Hells Angels through calculated fear.
Cisco was in complete control of Oakland. He was a very powerful figure in the OMs. He would come into the OMs and he would just wield the power around the room. Nobody wanted to challenge him. He was a very imposing guy.
His security company never lost a dollar of studio equipment, though competitors had a habit of losing everything. A magician who made people disappear. A half-Filipino outlaw who became king. A man who kept his wife for 52 years and his enemies for about 52 seconds. Some called him visionary, others executioner. But in Oakland's underworld, they just called him Sir, if they wanted to keep breathing. The streets don't just shape men, they break them or build them. For Cisco Valderrama, born December 1st, 1941, in San Francisco, that story began in the unforgiving streets of East Los Angeles. Half Filipino, in a world that wasn't exactly known for its diversity, young Elliot had to learn quickly how to handle himself and handle others. The early chapters of Cisco's story aren't written in any police records, at least none that survived. But whispers in old bars tell tales of a kid who discovered early that fear was a currency more valuable than cash. By his teens, he'd already mastered the art of making problems disappear, though nobody could ever prove exactly how. 1965 found him in Santa Rosa, officially working as a hod carrier for a brick mason. But that was just his cover. Behind the scenes, he was building something else entirely, a reputation. And it wasn't his skill with bricks that caught people's attention. It was his way of handling situations that made folks nervous. Ever notice how some guys just have to walk into a room to change its temperature? That was Cisco. Then came the Misfits Motorcycle Club. Details are scarce, but one fact stands crystal clear. Cisco didn't join their club. He took it.
When Cisco was a misfit, I don't know how long he was a misfit. I don't know any background on his history with that club. I know he took over that club by gunpoint.
But the Misfits were just a stepping stone. January 13th, 1966, marks the day Elliot Cisco Valderrama patched in with the Hells Angels Oakland chapter. Not just any chapter, the most notorious, the most respected, and soon to be his kingdom. The chapter was known for being particularly selective about its members, especially when it came to the movie Hells Angels 69. Think about that. They trusted him enough to represent them on the big screen, but smart folks still checked their backs when he walked by.
He was in the movie Hells Angels 69, and there's no way Oakland would have had him involved in that movie if he wasn't an Oakland member in good standing. They were very strict about who worked on that movie.
What made him different? While others played at being tough, Cisco had turned intimidation into an art form. Quick with a joke, sure, but quicker with that look that made grown men study their shoes. The kind of guy who could fix any mechanical problem, but seemed to enjoy fixing other problems even more. The stage was set, the pieces were in place, and Cisco, he was just warming up. Hey brothers, tired of YouTube's BS and censorship? It's time to break free. That's why I've shifted gears to Patreon, where I can bring you the raw, uncensored content you crave. Join my Patreon crew and get an insane package deal. Exclusive early access to all videos, days before YouTube, 100% ad-free viewing experience. Uncensored, no-holds-barred community discussions, double the content, 2 killer videos every single week. VIP access, direct interaction with yours truly, inside scoop, exclusive biker world updates you won't find anywhere else. Ready to join the elite? Hit that Patreon link now. Your support doesn't just keep us rolling. It fuels a revolution of uncensored, unrestricted content. Join now and unlock a world of exclusive benefits. What's more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose? One with everything to gain. Fresh into the Oakland chapter in 1966, Cisco didn't just join the Hells Angels, he studied them. While others fought over spotlight and status, he watched Oakland evolve into the club's power center as it shifted from San Bernardino. His appearance in Hells Angel 69 wasn't just a movie role. It marked him as Oakland material through and through, because the chapter never let outsiders represent them on screen. The early 70s found Oakland embroiled in battles with the outlaws and Mongols, yet Cisco navigated these waters with calculated precision. While others rushed headlong into conflict, he built alliances. Deacon Proudfoot held the president's patch during these years, often seen alongside Sandy Alexander on shows like Geraldo Rivera's Goodnight America. But behind the scenes, Cisco was laying groundwork. When Sonny landed in prison, the real power plays began. Oakland's leadership became a deadly game of musical chairs. Deacon stepped down, citing the political infighting that plagued the chapter.
Deacon decides to step down, and I think the reason he stepped down because there was a lot of political infighting in Oakland. Now, we were fighting the outlaws, we were fighting the Mongols, and then suddenly we've got this political strife at home in our own club.
The vacuum that followed showed Cisco's true genius. He never grabbed for power too soon, too fast, or too obviously. Then came the infamous Foo incident. During one of Sonny's arrests, Foo, a former Fresno member, staged what might be the shortest coup in club history. 4 hours as president before the call came. Foo is no longer president. Through it all, Cisco watched, waited, and most importantly, survived. By 75, his reputation was carved in steel. Members like Kenny, Chico, and Cruy respected him not just for his strength, but for his restraint. In a world where most died young, went to prison, or turned informant, Cisco played a longer game. And unlike the loudmouths and hotheads, he understood that true power isn't taken. It's built piece by bloody piece. When the dust settles after a war, who really counts the bodies? By 1975, while Oakland's power structure trembled like a house of cards, Cisco had positioned himself perfectly for the storm ahead. The real drama ignited when Sergei Walton, once Sonny's trusted lieutenant and confidant, decided he deserved the crown. But Sergei should have studied history better, because ambitious lieutenants often meet unfortunate ends.
But now Sergei decides he wants that position. And, I didn't know Sergei well. I met him twice. First time I met him, he approached me in the Oakland clubhouse and congratulated me on my new position as an officer in Los Angeles. And hopefully they got some fresh blood down there. We just had a real brief conversation.
The RICO trials hit Oakland like a sledgehammer, though Cisco remained untouchable. When Sergei couldn't make bail and orchestrated a $50,000 deal with a jailer to wheel him out, old-timers knew the clock was ticking.
The next time I saw him, he was now on the run. He had been arrested for that RICO trial, didn't make bail, but paid a jailer $50,000 to wheel him out of there.
Nobody escaped that cleanly without consequences, especially since Cisco had eyes everywhere. Those consequences arrived in federal prison, where black inmates mysteriously targeted Sergei. The message wasn't subtle, and neither was its source.
I think he okayed a contract on him in the federal prison, because what happened was some blacks tried to kill Sergei. He said he wasn't up for this, and I think he realized where the order had come from, and I think it came from Sonny. And this is speculation. I don't know that for a fact. These are things I was told and little rumors running around, things I heard when I went to prison a few years later in Terminal Island.
Faced with a choice between turning informant or turning up dead, Sergei chose survival. The day Moldy Marvin announced Sergei's betrayal, at the OM. Cisco sat silent, but those who knew him recognized the satisfied glint in his eye. Federal agents soon raided Sergei's house, cutting through walls to retrieve hidden cash. As Sergei disappeared into witness protection, Sonny consolidated power once again.
But Sergei decided, I'm not going to be killed, and he made a deal with the government. And I was at the OM, and Moldy Marvin came in, and there was a lot of rumors going around, and Moldy Marvin announced that Sergei had indeed become a government informant. The feds had come to his house, cut a big hole in the wall, took out a bunch of money he had buried in there, and now was hiding somewhere in witness protection.
Yet behind the scenes, Cisco's influence grew stronger. While other members threw their weight around publicly, he built a network of favors and fear that would prove invaluable in the years ahead. By 1982, when Sonny's 3-pack-a-day habit finally caught up with him, the stage was set. Irish, a former Los Angeles Angel, took the throne, but everyone knew who really pulled the strings. Through strategic alliances with figures like Gary Popkin and careful handling of the Tony Tate situation, Cisco had transformed himself from a skilled player into a puppet master. Oakland's leadership had learned a crucial lesson. Presidents might wear the crown, but Cisco held the keys to the kingdom. How does a man build an empire that bridges the underworld and Hollywood? Ask anyone who worked film sets in the Bay Area during the 80s, if they're still willing to talk. When Irish stepped up as president in 1982, Cisco already held the real power, though few understood the full scope of his influence. While other Oakland members like Kenny and Chico got entangled in Tony Tate's push for war with the outlaws and Mongols, Cisco played a smarter game. He balanced club politics with legitimate business, transforming his security company into a force that Hollywood couldn't ignore.
So Irish takes over, and his tenure didn't last that long. I tell you what happened was Irish and Sonny both got very close to Tony Tate, and I was on this peace mission, trying to get the outlaws and the Mongols to end the war. Tony Tate was pushing the war. Sonny and Irish bought into it, and that created a lot of embarrassment for both those guys. And what happened was, at some point in time, I don't remember when, Cisco had become Oakland vice president, I think maybe under Irish.
His film career flourished during these years, landing roles in Lethal Weapon, 1987, and later Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992.
I don't think he was real active as a stuntman because he was a pretty big guy, but he was an actor. He also did a lot of security for movie sets.
The same producers who hired him on screen trusted his security teams off screen because everyone knew when Cisco's crew watched your equipment, nothing and nobody dared touch it.
He would bring club members in and make sure that the equipment was safe. A lot of the movie producers and movie companies all used him up in the Bay Area because they knew if Cisco's security company was guarding their stuff, no one was going to mess with it. He was a hell of a guy.
Then came the 60 Minutes interview with Mike Wallace. For once, Cisco miscalculated, stumbling over questions about club rules.
Cisco and I wound up doing a 60-minute interview with Mike Wallace. Doesn't go well for Cisco, and this is the first time Cisco and I have an issue. I tell Cisco I don't think he should go on the show. He thinks that maybe I'm trying to cut him out. I don't know. We never really talked about it.
The resulting 6 months of cold shoulders from the club, especially Christie, taught him a valuable lesson about media exposure. But like every other setback in his life, he turned it into an advantage. The fumbled interview made him appear more human, less threatening. Perfect cover for his other activities.
But Cisco kind of fails on the show. He gets a lot of criticism from the club as well as the lawyers, and blames me for his shortcomings in the interview, which, he didn't talk to me for about 6 months. That's the kind of guy he was. He got mad, and he would ignore me, give me the cold shoulder, and or give me a very cold hello if he saw me.
George Lucas himself recognized Cisco's influence, giving him an original Darth Vader costume from the movies. During the Oakland chapter's Halloween party, Cisco wore it proudly, though fate had a sense of humor when Animal and his stunt crew stole the show with their fiery entrance.
But Cisco had a direct line into George Lucas, and he wound up getting the Darth Vader uniform, not a reasonable facsimile. He got the Darth Vader uniform that they used in the movie.
Even then, crossing Cisco carried consequences. Ask Animal about the months of silence that followed. By decade's end, his power was absolute. Club meetings became exercises in carefully orchestrated fear, where his mere presence could silence a room. The same hands that performed magic tricks for movie stars could sign death warrants with a nod. Even his rare mistakes, like backing the wrong side in a 59-count drug ring case, only served to showcase his influence when witnesses suddenly developed amnesia and evidence mysteriously vanished. By 1990, while other Oakland figures faded into history or prison cells, Cisco's influence had evolved into something more refined, yet equally lethal. His security company dominated the Bay Area film industry, though everyone understood that crossing him meant more than just losing a contract. Even in his later years, his presence in the Oakland clubhouse could drop the temperature 10 degrees.
Cisco, he walked away with the title, and he held on it for a lot of years, and he held on it and held on it. I know that when Sonny came back, there's all these rumors what really happened. Cisco was in complete control of Oakland. He was a very powerful figure in the OMs. He would come into the OMs, and he would just wield the power around the room. Nobody wanted to challenge him.
The 90s brought new challenges, particularly when Sonny returned with dreams of books and movies. But Oakland, under Cisco's influence, shut these ventures down hard. The rejection pushed Sonny toward Arizona, where he established the Dirty Dozen, a move that spoke volumes about Cisco's iron grip on Oakland's politics. His relationship with Joanne, his white wife of 52 years, showcased another side of him. While orchestrating club matters and Hollywood security deals, he maintained a marriage that defied the era's racial tensions. Yet, even this softer side carried an edge. His introductions of Joanne often felt like subtle reminders that he'd broken more than just motorcycle club stereotypes. His final years proved that power, properly managed, never truly fades. When disputes arose, they tended to resolve themselves before reaching his doorstep. Even as age caught up with him, his reputation remained strong enough that younger members crossed the street rather than risk meeting his gaze. February 6, 2014, marked his last ride. At 72, respiratory complications did what no rival ever could. They buried him in Evergreen Cemetery, notably separate from where Sonny Barger would later rest. A final testament to the complex power dynamics he'd navigated throughout his life. His legacy? A blueprint for power that married legitimate business with outlaw principles, Hollywood glamour with underground muscle. Even now, years after his passing, old members still lower their voices when discussing certain incidents from his reign. Because some stories don't end with death, they just get darker with time.